What's up, guys? So today on the podcast, we have Jacob Couch, the quote Hillbilly Hammer. So Jacob is he's a young cat. He's a competitor, doing really well for himself right now. And we've Eugene and I and pretty much everybody at our gym has known Jacob for a long time because he's from Kentucky. He's been a Kentucky boy, and he's been competing. And so again, a lot of times he would be at similar tournaments to us. He's trained at the gym a couple times, and so super cool dude. And we wanted to have him on the podcast because he just got over having some great wins at the Worlds. He had a really great performance at the Who's Number One, and wanted to talk to a dude who came from a very small rural town, and kind of talk to him about competing and all that kind of stuff. And again, he's still young. He's 22 years old right now. So
sky's the limit, man. He's already that good.
Yeah, so he's doing real well for himself. So we'll talk about all that stuff, and you can listen to it and hopefully pull something away for your jiu-jitsu, or just simply be entertained a little bit by listening to a young competitor talk about what he's going through. He's also training, in case you may know this, depending on how you follow this. He's training out there at Pedigo's. The Daisy Fresh is what people a lot of times call it because of the laundromat or whatever. So again, the interesting stuff. So stick around, listen to it. As always, this podcast is brought to you by. That sounds like an old school advertisement. Like, remember when we were like kids and they'd have TV shows and today's program is brought to you by boom, and they'd start putting out there like all the stuff. Well, today's podcast is brought to you by Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web is he said it did there. Charlotte's Web is a CBD company, what I consider to be one of the premier CBD companies out on the market. I've been using their products for a couple of years now. Big fan of them.
New gummies out too. Those are pretty tasty.
The new gummies they're too tasty. They're just like gummies.
They are.
They're like, but like
great.
The old gummies were like they had a little bit more a little stickier. These new ones, they're so soft. They're like
melty.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like Jess and I were talking about, like they're so good. I just feel like I want to eat these candies.
Don't eat them. Don't eat a lot of them.
Don't eat too many of them.
You'll get sleepy.
You'll get sleepy. Although you can eat a little bit of them and just stay relaxed. Like I've eaten they've got one. It's like immunity. It's got like D3 and some stuff in it. And I've eaten those in the middle of the day, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like, because the sleep gummies have things like melatonin, so that's just gonna put you to sleep. But again, whether it's their gummies or their tinctures or their balms or any of that stuff, I've been satisfied with all the products that I've had from them. And so again, I encourage people, if you do, to try them, because again, it's one of these things where everybody's body's so different. Like, you can give someone any type of medicine or anything, and it affects people differently.
Yeah, for sure.
You give someone caffeine. For me, for instance, when I was younger, I used to be able to drink caffeine like it was like nothing, no problem. Now I drink a small cup of coffee in the day. That's all I need. I don't need any more. I can't, and I literally don't want any more, because otherwise it'll start making me all jittery. So I drink a small cup to a full cup of coffee. That's it. Max coffee in the morning, and that's it. I drink, and then I go about my day. And so whereas other people, they're like down in multiple cups, whatever. And so our bodies metabolize things. Everything's so different. But that said, when I first heard about CBD way back in the day, I think I heard about it on like a Joe Rogan podcast or something. I remember hearing about Charlotte's Web being promoted, and the effects that they said, the benefits of it sounded kind of like, to me, snake oil. Just because it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, we were looking at, like, before the podcast earlier, we were looking at that stupid workout band thing that someone's trying to sell. And I'm like, we don't say the name, but like, get out of here. Like, it's like everybody,
it's the only thing you need.
Only 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. It's like
minimal effort,
and you'll be jacked to the gills. It's like, okay. So, but again, a lot of that stuff is snake oil, and we've all been tricked and, deceived. And so a lot of times we go into things when we hear promotions kind of like that. We go, I don't know. These guys are making some big claims. Is this like that stupid, like, bandy thing that I bought that made no difference? Right. Again, so the thing is with that, our bodies do metabolize it differently. But that said, I'm a big fan of their products, and I've given their products to a lot of my students and a lot of friends. And a lot of times, more often than not, those people come back and say, okay, hey, what was that you gave me? I'm going to buy some of that. Can I buy some of that? Like, what was that? Like, so I can go on their website. And so, again, I really encourage people to give it a try. And if you've never tried CBD products before, go buy one of the tinctures or one of the gummy packs, whatever it is that you get interested in, and then try it for like a month. See what it does for your body. See how you feel on it. just like any other supplement or medicine or whatever, incorporate it into your routine, be consistent with it, and then see what the effects are, and then make your judgment there from your own experience and your own intuition. And so if you want to do that, you can go to their website, Charlotte's Web. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu, save 15% on the order. And this podcast is also brought to you by Epic Roll. He's doing the zoom in for you guys that are actually watching.
We're getting good up in this video.
You threw my game off. I was doing like an announcer voice.
I know, that's exactly. I'm bringing the intention.
Oh, okay, sure.
The effect.
Right. Let me. I'll do better next time. Let's go with it. But epicrollbjj.com is the website. You can go there. You can use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu to save 15% on the order on anything you buy. He has everything Jiu-Jitsu related, everything from like clothing and apparel to actual gear that you can use during training. And again, I was telling you guys this the previous week, and I'll probably tell you next week until it's time. We'll be doing a special custom rash guard and shorts order. So we'll be using the Velcro-less shorts, which you guys may have heard me if you've been listening to the podcast long enough to talk about those. They're super comfortable. There's no Velcro, so you don't get that thing where you've got these nice shorts that are still holding together, but then the Velcro goes and you can't use them anymore. So Velcro-less shorts, and then he also has his rash guard. Rash guard fits great. Making a few adjustments on the logo setting, but otherwise it's ready to go, and I really like it. And so again, we'll have those out for you in about a month. They will be a pre-sale, meaning you got to grab them while they're around. So when it's time, you need to go get them, because it always happens. Like people will send me messages like, oh man, like I, didn't hear about it, or I didn't click it in time or whatever. So if you follow me, just be on the lookout. If you're on the email list, be on the lookout. If you're listening to the podcast, be on the lookout, and we should have them in about a month for you. So at the time of recording this, of course, that's going to be right now. We're in October. Sometime in November is when I'm thinking about talking with them. But again, I'll let you guys know more as we find out more information. And thanks to our sponsor, also brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the premier below the belt grooming. I don't know what else to go, and he's getting ready to zoom in. I'm distracted.
I didn't do it.
But the Manscaped is the premier below the belt grooming for men, and they make awesome products. I just I
did a little above the belt grooming.
Yeah, well,
with the weed whacker. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, see,
I enjoyed it.
The first time I used it, I was like looking at it, and I was like, this looks like it would hurt.
Nah.
And then I used it on some of my arm hairs. And I was like, oh, that's not bad. And then I put it in my nose and got rid of some of them.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird, for any guy that I'm sure some men have encountered this like later in life, but as men get older, like we start to get into our 30s, for some reason, hair starts growing in weird places.
Why?
I don't know.
It's like a sick joke.
It is. It's like, because like, for instance, like you start losing it on the top where you want it.
Yes.
Right. Like, because like I just found that little spot.
Stop it.
I got a little spot of thin hair.
God, quit.
It's all relative, of course, but
guys,
my hair's thinning.
Look at mine.
My hair's thinning a little bit.
Oh Lord, don't tell anyone. Nobody knows.
I'm getting old. But like we start growing, all kinds. I'll get these long ear hairs on the side of my ear, and Jess will like pluck them. Eyebrow hairs. So like if I didn't shave, I would be a big ball of fur from like head to bottom. I would have like the full connected like eyebrow. I would have like ear hair hanging off. I mean, nose hairs be coming out. Like sometimes when I'm doing the videos, here's like a fun story for you guys, like that you never see. So sometimes when I'm doing the videos for the YouTube channel, like things just happen sometimes that distract you from the video. So sometimes there's one video where like a fly was going around, and I was trying to stay focused, but eventually it landed right on my face. I was like, damn fly. Had to restart the video. There was another time where one of my nose hairs was hanging out of my nose and it connected to my beard hair. And it was like tickling. It was like tickling my nose, right? And I was trying to finish the video. I was like, no, I've only got like 2 more minutes left of this video. I know it. I can finish in 2 minutes. And it just got so itchy, I had to scratch it.
Yeah.
But they've got nice products. So again, they're the premier below the belt grooming, but all their stuff. But all their stuff's good for pretty much anywhere you need to groom if you're a man. So they've got a great trimmer that's waterproof. You can use that. The lawnmower, they've got the weed whacker, which is their nose hair trimmer, which we've both used and it works great. Their cologne smells amazing. All the balms and lotions smell amazing. Nice. I mean, everything smells good. So again, I'm a big fan of their products. They're all high quality. Everything smells really good. And I believe anybody who gets it would be satisfied with it. So
Sure.
if you would like to purchase some men's grooming products, either for yourself or for someone special in your life, you can go to manscaped.com and use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu 20 for 20% off your order, and you get free shipping on it. It's a pretty good deal on any and all of their products related to men's grooming. And last but certainly not least, guys, if you would like to get a game plan ebook for your jiu-jitsu and get an ebook that's focused on drilling, you can do that by going to jujitsu.net/join, JOIN. For doing that, you will sign up to the Jiu-Jitsu Chew Crew list. It's an email newsletter. I send out an email usually once a day, Monday through Friday. And then along with that, you will receive 2 ebooks. One is for game plans for jiu-jitsu competitions. The other one is for drilling. And again, the drilling one is focused on whether you're a coach, whether you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner who has no control of their training. There's some options for you. And the game plan book will show you my specific game plan that I used to use. It's changed a little bit. I'll do an updated version later. But it shows the one I used for several years, and which isn't much different now. And along with that, what it'll do is it'll give you some options on how to create your own so you can follow along. So guys, with that said, let's jump into this episode with Jacob, and we'll talk about jiu-jitsu and how he's doing and all the competitions that he's getting ready for.
Hey, I want to, how did, let me ask you this real fast before we get started. How did you get that? Who gave you that name, Hillbilly Hammer?
I think it was Spatch. So it was Jacob Brooks.
Why?
We were, I don't know, man. We were just like sitting there, like kind of freestyling around one day, chatting with each other. And then he just like, he said it. And I was like, that's weird. Because my Instagram handle was like Jacob Couch BJJ or something like that. Mm-hmm. We were like trying to think of each other's Instagram handles. So he just said it one day and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do that. And I did it. And then it kind of like
just stuck.
Yeah, it just stuck. It like trickled down.
Pretty nice. That's weird. Yeah, it's like just how it starts. Sometimes that's how it starts.
Well, I feel like that's every good nickname. It comes out randomly, and then for whatever reason, it just kind of keeps lingering around. You know, that's a good nickname.
Yeah.
Opposed to like the dudes, you go to like the MMA fights and dudes, everybody would be like nicknamed Pitbull or something really mean and aggressive. Like nobody calls you that. Nobody calls you Pitbull. Nobody calls
Spartan.
You know, yeah. So it's like
Jacob Spartan Couch. What do you think? No, that don't work.
Dude.
Well, all right. What's the gravy stuff? Tell me about what's the biscuits and gravy all about?
One day I was like working out, or I was like warming up before class, and Heath had to do his #1 podcast. And I was like working out, and I was like watching him do it, and he was outside, and he like walked in, and he like grabbed me, and it wasn't like premeditated or anything. It's like I was just wanting to say something funny on the podcast. So they were like, "How do you feel about your upcoming Fight to Win bout?" And I was like, about to put the biscuits and gravy on these motherfuckers. And then that's how it rolled off. That's the start of it.
That was it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, like you have that kind of the country, you know, so like the hillbilly stuff, it's all kind of like, you know, that stuff you eat in the country, you know, right? Like kind of
who doesn't like biscuits and gravy?
Well, I don't know. It's just
you don't have to be from the country to like biscuits and gravy.
It all fits though. It's kind of like the whole Jacob Couch universe, right? It all makes sense.
Yeah. So man, what do you got coming up right now?
I got the trials. I'm probably gonna do the Gi Worlds in December.
Okay.
I don't know, bro. I usually don't know what I'm about to do until 3 or 4 days before it, and I have to fill in. So
I got you.
It's untelling what I got coming up.
You like it like that? Like, do you prefer it?
I like it. It makes it exciting. So it's like kind of like a wildfire element.
What about like do you feel like less pressure? I mean, especially like being kind of, you know, like they got you in late replacement. You felt like you're just like nothing to lose, right?
Yeah. Being like coming in like that, like not expected to win is definitely less pressure than expected to win. Mm-hmm. I feel like. So it's a lot easier to have fun. And even after that experience where it was less pressure to win, it's like kind of like an eye opener, because it could be the same way in the other situation too. It's just all mental, and you like make the choice on how you feel about it. So you can kind of decide your emotions with logic instead of letting them coast freely.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you can learn how to tap into that sort of like that middle ground where, you know, you're ready to go out there and get after it, but at the same time you're not really worried about winning and losing, where you can just like let stuff fly. You seem like you do that pretty well, because I mean, when I watch your matches and stuff like that, rarely have I watched one of your matches and thought, man, he's not going for it at all. You're usually pretty good about going for the submission, going for the kill, trying to really get after it, opposed to like maybe playing the points or playing the safe route. Would you say it's right?
Yeah, that's definitely correct, man. I like, it's not fun. Like it takes the joy out of it for me to kind of like strategize. Obviously I've won matches with strategy. I've lost matches from strategy and all that good stuff. But the joy in it is trying to, trying to finish the guy and just trying to be the best. So I feel that I feel like to do that, you have to be able to like go out and just attack the whole time and not really be too stagnant with your jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like, is that kind of how you guys basically train? Like, as far as like when you guys are training, it's usually you're trying to finish each other.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird when we compete against people sometimes like that, because sometimes, or everybody in our gym is like full throttle all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's different. It's different having to like adjust to that sometimes in competition.
You mean adjust to people like trying to play the game?
Yeah, adjust to like strategists and like just game players and all that good stuff. So it's like a different kind of thing. It's like a whole different kind of jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the formats. Like, for instance, Who's Number One was an interesting format. I enjoyed watching it, and I felt like most of the matches were pretty good, like, because you weren't necessarily going for points. And I don't think points are necessarily bad, but anytime that I've even seen people like game the fight to win rules, where they would just keep going for like, they would kind of halfway go for a submission attempt on a leg, and then they let go and then go for another one, but they really didn't really go for the finish, you know?
Yeah.
People can always game the system, but I thought the fight to win rule set was pretty good. Well, or not the fight to win, but the Who's Number One. What did you think about that rule set for you?
I like it. It makes me feel the most comfortable. Just because it is submission only, and I like the way they view it. Like if I go from the top and I'm attacking a submission, you just come up, you shouldn't be rewarded for, like, I don't think you should be rewarded if I'm attacking your leg and you're just coming up. It's not really like you're fighting for that position. It's more like a consequence of me attacking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever had the situation before. I remember one match years ago. I did a bad job. I was going for the kills, so I was really hunting after the neck and the arms and everything else. And the guy that I went against was really good about not settling in position. So I remember I took his back, and I had like half back, but he never let me get that second hook in. I almost had him choke, so I got like two advantages for that. We rolled out to turtle. I got to side control, was set up an armbar, then he moved back to turtle. We kept going through these transitions, and he ended up beating me by a point. Now, because of like he scored some points early, and I made those points back, and I was down a point. But I remember at the end of the match, I felt like if I was in the gym rolling, I felt like, man, I got the better of that exchange. But because I didn't secure that one thing here or there, or hold it for the exact amount of seconds, or put the second hook instead of whatever, I didn't get the points for it. I think that, the fight, go back to the Who's Number One was neat, because it's looking at it almost like a roll in the gym. Like, that guy's winning. You can look at it and clearly see that guy's actually get the better of the exchange, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember a match I had in my first Nogi Worlds. I had a match where I put the dude put me in like a brutal straight ankle and like popped my foot pretty good. And I was like, well, it's already popped. It's not gonna, it's not gonna go no more. So I didn't tap. And then I like put him in like the close guard. I swept him with an arm triangle, and then I mounted him. I passed his guard and I mounted him. And I remember it being passed. Maybe it wasn't passed, but that doesn't matter. I got the 2 points for the sweep. 2 points for the sweep, and then no points for the mount
Huh.
because they said I had the arm triangle in, but they give me the points for the sweep. If you can't
matter, right?
Submission is like in, then why give the points for the sweep? And the score was like 2-6, and I was up with like an advantage.
Yeah, so you would have won.
Yeah, I would have won the match. So I was like, oh, that's weird. But
Yeah, some of the rules don't make sense. You said you're getting ready to you're cutting weight for the ADCC coming up, right? You're gonna do 88 kilograms.
Mm-hmm.
How's the weight cut going?
Pretty good. It's the real hard stuff starts Monday, so just trying to move around, still get some sweats in, keep the body like loose. I'll do a lot better when my body feels looser in competition and just in training too.
Sure. What do you do? What are you doing to cut the weight?
Like no sodium, no fiber, just like classic weight stuff cut stuff, I guess.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you guys had like some guy like writing some stuff up for you or not.
Yeah, we got George is basically our dietitian.
Okay.
He knows like all the old like bodybuilding tricks and all this like different stuff, man. It's all good stuff.
Okay.
So how are you prepping like right now? Are you training as hard, or you're just trying to kind of stay healthy and just keep your body kind of just moving since you got the big, ADCC trials?
I always train hard. No matter what, really.
Okay.
I haven't really stopped training. The day that I competed at Nogi Worlds, I trained that night.
Really?
And then I trained the night before that as well.
Yeah, that surprised me. I was talking to you at the Nogi Worlds, and I was like, "You trained tonight?" He's like, "Yeah." How many matches did you have at the Nogi Worlds when you competed?
5.
It's a lot of matches. That's not too bad, but it's a fair amount of matches. So you had some tough ones.
Yeah, the semifinal, the absolute was the hardest one. The one with Elder that lost. That fucking
that was a bad matchup with you guys.
But 5 matches total. 4 submissions. The only one I didn't submit was Elder. So
yeah.
So I mean, you're going. So you don't really taper at all. You guys don't really taper for a tournament or anything. You're just kind of going. You're just training same intensity, whether you're like close to tournament versus like just just regular training.
Yeah, we'd have if we take for me at least, if I tapered, I would have to taper then just compete again. I've been competing like almost every weekend, so I've just had to keep training. Really, I feel like so.
So let me ask you a question. So before you had a competition coming up, before let's say if you're competing on a Saturday, and assuming you don't have a competition immediately afterwards, what would you do? Like, would you train all the way up to Friday that night? And by training, I mean training hard, not drilling or whatever. You can drill. Drilling doesn't do anything. You can drill, and it's basically like active recovery. But actually, hard training. How many days would you give yourself to rest beforehand, or would you train all the way up until that competition?
Probably the last hard training would be Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
That's our wrestling practice.
Okay.
And then Thursday night probably just sweat, and then Friday rest, and then compete Saturday.
Cool.
What's it been like, training at Pedigo? Like when you decide, can you tell me a little bit kind of making the transition? Like, what was that thought process for you, and what did you expect when you kind of transferred over there?
It wasn't really much of a risk because I just knew what could and what was gonna happen. So to me, there was no real risk. The only thing was moving. The moving part was interesting, because it's like you don't know. You can believe it, but you don't know. There's no way to know. So there's always that, and then a new situation. But I just felt comfortable here. I just felt like where I needed to be. So it wasn't really too hard. Leaving everyone in Georgetown was hard, but you got to do what you got to do for yourself. So you got to be selfish if you want to be successful.
Do you envision getting there like a certain, do you have like a game plan for a certain amount of time that it would take you? Like, did you envision being like where you are right now, like at a certain amount of time? Is that something you saw?
Not at a certain amount of time. I just knew that if I just kept working and like kept working, kept like going towards my goals and stuff, that it would happen eventually.
How old were you when you started training?
I started training MMA when I was 15. And I trained MMA from when I was 15 till when I was 18. And when I was 18, after I graduated high school, I moved away from home to train jiu-jitsu full time.
Okay, so who were you training? Who were you training MMA with down wherever you were from?
His name was Donald Neese.
Okay.
It's just this guy from Hazard that did some martial arts stuff around and kind of just put a gym together and let us train in it.
I got you. Then how'd you end up hearing about Georgetown? Because you said you moved there when you were 18 to train. Like, how'd you end up hearing about them?
So one of my training partners fought a lot, was fighting a lot locally, and like he's kind of getting a little bit more popular. And then we found out about Adam in Georgetown, and we became like affiliated under them for a while at the time, like our gym, Viper Pit. We became affiliated under Killer Beast for a while. And then, like, just because I was around Ken and Stone, Stone was his little brother. He fought some amateur. I don't think he's fought pro yet. I'm not sure, though. But they both were fighting and fighting a lot. Then after I graduated high school and after I had my first MMA fight, I didn't want to do MMA anymore. Like, I wasn't really interested in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really my thing. So I always loved the grappling and the wrestling part. So I knew I wanted to do jiu-jitsu full time. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So then I moved away, and goodness, this weather.
Got that
I
COVID.
moved away. Lord have mercy. I moved away, and they convinced. I moved up there for a week to train for a UGI, one of his grappling cards. And while I was up there, I was training with everyone, and then they basically all sat me down and were like, "Look, you have a bunch of potential with this. You could really do something with this. You should move up here and train full time. See what it's about. If you don't like it, you can go back home and go to school like you planned." And I was like, "Okay, all right, deal. Sounds good to me." So then I moved, and the rest is, just kept grinding, and now I'm here in Mount Vernon on the Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
Yeah, right. And then, so you were at Georgetown for several years, right? How long were you there?
In Georgetown?
Yeah.
2 years. 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. Okay. 2 years. And then how did it end up? And then how did everything with like, so I'm just kind of seeing how it all happened. And then how did everything with the Pedigo group happen? Like, because obviously someone said, "Hey man, you got potential at this down there in Hazard, come train with us." And then how did it happen with like Heath? How did you get the invite / sort of a connection?
So I had competed against Andrew one time at a Fuji. And I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Like, he just annihilated me, bro. It was bad.
He's not bad at jiu-jitsu.
No, not at all.
He's pretty good, right?
Yeah. And then I forgot how I got connected. Somebody messaged me or something, or I messaged somebody, and I was like, "What?" And then I met them at the Nogi Pans, and I was like, I wanted to come train. I told him I wanted to come train, but I didn't have a way up there. It's 4 hours away. I had no way to get there. And then Alejandro Viner, actually is one of my roommates right now. He offered me a ride. He said, "I'll come get you. You can stay for a week and I'll take you back." And I was like, "Deal." So I did, and then I just like with how hard everybody was training and how focused everybody was on being like a champion, I just knew it was a place for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a perfect environment too, especially for like a young guy like yourself. Like it's a great chance to just get out there and get after it.
Yeah, kind of enjoy life a little bit, hang loose.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a singular focus almost. There's not a lot of stuff around Mount Vernon, right? Where you guys are at, it's really not much else to do. Like, I mean, really, you got your training partners and you got the gym, and then like you really, I guess, can't really get into a lot of trouble, right? You kind of just you get in the gym, you train, and then like that's really you have like a central like focus.
Yeah, it's about all we do, man. It's about all we do right there. It's just train, eat, travel, sleep, repeat.
Yeah. Well, that was like back in the day, the old Militich, like back when Militich, the fighters were just killing it on everyone. I remember listening to like a interview with Pat, and Pat was just talking about like we're in the middle of Iowa, like there's like nothing to do, so you just train, like you just get after it and you push it, you train, and everybody that's what they do. It's like I said, a singular focus.
Oh, I was gonna say I love that those old school stories too. Makes me feel like when people down the road are going to talk about like jiu-jitsu guys, they're going to talk about like our team, and I'm going to be a part of one of those stories that people are going to be talking about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, man, let me ask you this question: when was there a particular match, like, because there's anytime you're like a person that's like shooting for a goal, especially a goal sometimes that maybe is out of reach, like you can believe that you can do it, but there's still this whole process of doing the activities necessary to make it happen. You can say to yourself, I'm going to be a champion or whatever, but then when you actually start to do things and then you start to see like, oh, snaps, like this could actually happen. Was there like a particular match or performance that you had in jiu-jitsu, like competing wise, that maybe cemented into your mind that like this could actually happen? Like I just beat or hung with a really tough competitor. Yeah, I can do this. I just need to keep at it, whatever. Have you had any of those moments so far?
My match with Roberto. My match with Roberto for sure.
Okay.
And then my match with just the 2 wins I had at the Who's Number One. Those 2 matches were like, oh shit, I can do this for real. And then it just gave me like a huge confidence boost, man. It was just like why not? Why can't I do it? That's what I started. That's how I feel now. Anyways, after those experiences, it's just that the only thing that can stop me really is myself.
Sure. Were there any matches that you were particularly nervous about or maybe spooked about? Like, again, when I say spooked, I don't mean that you're shaking or scared or anything, because no competitor's scared, but you have those matches where you're like, man, this is gonna be a tough one. Have you ever had like a match where you really worked up about your opponent?
I get really worked up about all my opponents. It's like a fairground, but I feel the same basically, or I try to feel the same before every match. I don't always, but I just try to think like, yeah, this guy could beat me, but I could also beat him. So that's where I'm gonna focus on trying to do at least.
Do you do you have nerves? Do you get nerves at all like before you compete? Like, is there something you do to kind of just deal with it? Or you just kind of so acclimated because you've competed so much, you kind of just used to everything?
I get nervous, man. I just deal with it like I don't really care. I'm nervous, but I don't really care about being nervous. It's not gonna help me. Like it's just a grappling match or tournament. There's gonna be another grappling match or another tournament in the future. This won't be the end of my career. If it won't be the last win I have, it won't be the last loss I have. So it's kind of the way I just put them all on a even plane. And it balances out real well.
Yeah.
What competition, like out of all the competitions available to you, is there any particular tournament or organization that you would like to be the champion of? Is there one that like stands out in your mind as kind of who's number one?
Who's number one in the ADCC?
Why?
The ADCC, obviously.
They're the most prestigious. Those are where the best people are at. I want to be the best, so to be the best, you got to beat the best.
How many do y'all have in your weight class? It's like pretty crazy numbers. I think they've got
It's
insane.
like 150.
150 people registered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
in your weight,
are
just
they,
in your weight.
Are they gonna break? Like, so are they gonna break
2
up
days?
2 days?
They're gonna do 2 days, right?
Like, because God bless. I mean, 150 matches,
Dude.
like, or 150 people, like that's so what it's. So I remember my bracket had like we had
45.
No, like when the year I did, we had like I think I had like 60 or something. I had six matches, whatever, and that was to get to third or whatever. So 150, so you 150, 75. So you're talking about like 7-8 matches. You know, that's a lot, especially if it turns into like battles. You know.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a hell of a time. It's my rookie trials debut, so.
Have you ever competed in like that half and half no points format?
Yeah, at an event called Subspectrum in in Iowa. It's pretty fun. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So for anybody that's listening, if you don't know, so the ADCC at the trials, they do this thing, and they do this at the ADCC championships. The time duration's different, but at the trials, it's a 6-minute match, but it's 3 minutes no points, 3 minutes points. And it's interesting to see how people respond, because you get some people where for the first 3 minutes, they don't really do anything. They'll basically just like hand fight. And then as soon as they go points, and they'll start going into it and going for takedowns or whatever. And then there's other people who 3 minutes is going and they just go nuts for 3 minutes because there's no point, there's no loss or whatever. But when the points start, the ADCC is like super, it definitely favors people that have some wrestling, because if you pull guard, you're already at a disadvantage. It gives you like a negative point for pulling guard. So like if you pull guard within the point round, you better be doing something with it. There's no just kind of like hanging out or whatever. But it's a fun point format. I think it makes for some interesting strategies. I know one of my trials matches, I had this guy, and basically I swept him in the no points round. And then I was getting ready to pass his guard, and Chad was like, "Hey, Chewy, there's like 20 seconds to points or something like that." So I stopped. I was like, "I'm just going to hold for a second." And then as soon as he said points, then I passed, to try to get the points and make sure that you're in a good position, because you don't want to like get all the way to mount and then the points rounds start, and then you don't really have a way to make up the points, and you're, whatever. So.
Yeah, you see like the smaller guys, sometimes they'll be like fighting in like the 50-50 or like a leg thing, where they're just trying to get in under each other. And then you'll see like Nicky Ryan versus like one of the Meow Brothers. In one of the matches, he just like sits back at the end because the Meow Brothers putting him in 50-50 and looking at the clock and like waiting for it to happen. So the Nicky Ryan just sits down, and so the Meow Brother couldn't get his points for the sweep. I was like, damn, that's smart.
Smart, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got guys like Mikey's there now with you guys, right? And how is he like training with him? What's that been like? Because he's a smaller guy, really technical. What's that been like? Him being part of the gym. How, is that kind of influenced your game at all?
Man, he knows. I mean, he just went back to Vegas a few days ago. I think he came down for a few days and he was able to hang out and train and stuff. But he knows an incredible amount of jiu-jitsu. I mean, like, I thought I knew a decent amount, dude. This dude, man, he was showing me stuff, and I was like, I've never seen that before. It's weird. I've said that like 6 times while he was showing me techniques, and I was like, this is stupid. This is just dumb. Making me feel ignorant.
He's so good. He's one of those interesting fellows. I remember watching him compete in like open divisions and actually do pretty well. Like, which is usually for a guy his size doesn't happen too often. Usually it doesn't go so well for the little guys when they go in there. But he's good. I've seen him do really well against some really big guys like Muhammad and stuff like that. Yeah. So
gave him problems, man. He had a hard time. He ended up losing that match, but I think it was hard for Muhammad to pass and all that. He's tough. But y'all got like a lot of brain, man, a lot of different people, a lot of minds. He's got so much experience. He's still young, but he's got so much experience, like at the highest level.
He's got 2 decades of jiu-jitsu, and he's only 25.
I know, it's nuts, right?
Oh my goodness,
so
man.
Good. Jacob, so like I want to know, man, going back a little bit, like you're 15 and you're like doing MMA. Like, why did you decide to do MMA when you were that young? Is there just like is there any reason then why you chose MMA versus doing something else like at 15?
I was getting picked on. So the two brothers I told you about seen me getting picked on in a Facebook comment section on Facebook one night, and they messaged me and they like commented on there and stuff. They messaged me privately and told me to come learn how to defend myself and just learn how to like take up for myself and do something with my life. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll do this. They said that I could train the first week for free and see how I liked it. If I didn't like it, I don't have to pay or don't have to come back. So I was like, all right, deal. So I remember I came and I just fell in love with it immediately, man. It was like the most fun I'd ever had, and I couldn't get enough of it. So I just kept coming.
Did you ever have a situation after you learned how to train where you ran into that same bully again?
No, they were like picking on me and I just wasn't saying anything. They wasn't like they were like really bullying me too bad, but just like I wasn't really saying anything. But no, not really, not after that.
I was curious. I remember learning how to do a double leg in wrestling, and then like had bullies later on, and like learned how to double leg bullies, and that was the end of the bullies. So just curious.
It just takes once.
Yeah, right.
Man, when did you decide, like, so, you know, doing MMA and then finding about jiu-jitsu, when did you decide, like, what made you decide that's what you wanted to do? Like, not go get like a regular 9-to-5 job. Like, why did you decide, like, hey, I'm going to make a career or do something really special in jiu-jitsu? Was there something that you felt or like something that kind of gave you that instinct?
I just didn't want to, I felt like I would be wasting, I felt like I would like waste away. I didn't want to like waste away. It just wasn't for me, man. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do. I never wanted to go to like. I'm not a big advocate. If you don't want to go to school, I don't think you should go to school. Like I think you should follow your passion, but everybody's different, I guess. I just never wanted to do any of that stuff. I felt like it would be like a waste of time, and everybody does that stuff. And I want to do something different. I want to like make my life exciting for myself.
Yeah, and everybody has like, you know, dreams, and some of their dreams are unrealistic. When did you decide like, man, this is like a reality that I could do this? Like, was that when you competed against Roberto and you had that good performance? Because you were already like, people were already kind of talking about you and stuff at that point. Like, is there a time that you kind of felt like, man, I'm winning these local tournaments. I'm just like, I feel like I'm onto something.
It just always felt like a place I belonged in was on the mats and like training and competing. So it always felt natural. The match with Roberto was just a confidence booster. It was like more of an eye opener. As far as like who I can compete with, as far as like being able to do it and make it a reality, I've always believed that. It's never been really a doubt in my mind ever since I moved away from home. Like I've had doubts. And I've had those kind of things, but I've always really believed I could do it if I just focus and set my mind to it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's not so much of like I know that some people will say like, you know, ask me the same question, like when did you decide to do this, that, whatever. And it's like sometimes it's not like you made a hardcore decision. It was more of just it felt right. It just felt like that was where you wanted to be. You felt right. Like you weren't like thinking about some grand scheme or whatever. I mean, shit, you're still a young cat, dude. How old are you?
22.
20, young cat, right?
22.
So you're still a pup. So like you're making a decision because it just feels right. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, dude, 22 years old, like the next 8 years, by the time you're 30, there's so much life in there, so many experiences to be had, so much wisdom you're going to get from it. But yeah, so but like you're just doing it because it feels right. It's the right thing to do for you, right? It was the same thing for me. I remember telling people, they were like, why aren't, you know, they were asking me like, why aren't you in school doing this? Or why aren't you doing that? I was like, because I don't want to, like, and I don't really know what I would do there. And I don't want to be in debt for education that I don't know how to use. And for some reason, I'm drawn to like train, and everything else is sort of secondary. I can't explain it. So
it's exactly right. It just kind of felt right. Just felt right. And I always wanted to get out of hazard, and this was my way to move out of hazard for sure, without having to really worry about the money or like anything. So it was just like it was like in my eyes, it was like a super secure option, because I always believed I was gonna be able to do it, and it was a great situation.
that's cool.
Yeah, I think like for me, like I had like pressures, like it wasn't even something that was like, in my mind, like doing something just because my family's like, oh, you got to do this thing. Like I had pressures from the family, right? Like you're supposed to do a certain thing in a certain way, especially like for me, like I was born in Russia. So like as an immigrant, you're like, you know, your family's like, we brought you here, so you got to do these things and follow this path. You like when people come to like the US from other countries, I think there's like a certain, like you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, you know, all this stuff like that they see as like this high, like, but
High status, yeah.
but it's not that way anymore, right? Like you can have like, and there's also not really that much, like I think, pleasure in like doing some of those things. Like, I think you get so much more enjoyment out of life, like you as well, and me doing the podcast and train. I get so much more enjoyment doing that. Like I feel more fulfillment from it.
Well, and I think also from you, so something that like, you know, you and I share, you might maybe more so than me. I imagine you were down in Hazard, probably grew up kind of poor. I mean, I grew up super poor here. I grew up poor. Again, we're talking about first world country poor. So let's make sure we're talking about that, right? There's food on the table and I'd get by, whatever, but poor relative to other people. So like the worry about like, I was talking to someone about this the other day, like the ladder, like, since when you're a little bit more poor, you're on a low rung of the ladder. So like if you fall down trying to do something, it's not a big deal because you're like, I'm already down here anyway, right? So like if you take a chance to live your dream, if you fail, you're like, well, like I was already down pretty low anyway, so what does it matter? Like I made it, I tried for it. But you know, then you get someone who's like maybe comes from like a higher upper middle class background, and they're like, if I fail and my parents and everything else, I'm used to this kind of life. Like I can't live in a house or apartment with 3 other dudes. Like I can't do. I've got this thing. You have a much further place to fall from.
Sure.
Because you know, I remember doing the same stuff. Like when I was in my early 20s, I lived in a studio apartment with 2 other dudes for a while. Like we were just like crammed in there. We trained jiu-jitsu. We all worked part-time and we fought MMA and stuff like that. And that's what we did, you know, and like no shit, we would have one of the guys had a bed. I had a couch, and then the guy had a air mattress, and we would just sleep side by side right there. And that was that. You know, we lived like that for like 2 years.
Yeah. And you guys lived at the gym, right? Like a lot. You said even like before we got going, you guys would like sleep at the gym.
Yeah, I lived there for like 6-7 months. Alejandro lived there for like 2 years. I think George lived there for like 2 years. Spatch like 2 years, I think. So they like, yeah, they all slept there, and I got to stay there with them for a while until I moved into this crib.
How was it living at the gym, sleeping on the mats?
It wasn't as hard. The hard part was like adjusting at first, but after that it was like easy. It just became kind of normal.
What do you mean adjusting to what?
Like the weather, like you can't really cool down, and you can't really like warm up unless you can warm up, but then you have like sleeping bags, and you got to like insulate yourself so you start sweating, and then you got to like unsweat. And it's like, that's kind of weird to adjust to, but
yeah,
the other parts aren't really that bad. Like, not really like kitchen, the refrigerator's like all fucked up because so many people have their food in there. It's just like
how many of y'all will be sleeping at the gym?
Probably like 8 to 10.
Wow.
Nice.
8 to 10, I would say usually. There's more now.
Really? Are y'all seeing like? I know you guys have had some of the like the documentaries and stuff on the gym. Like, are more people starting to show up and like train with you all and stay?
Yeah, we've had so many visitors over the last 6 months. So many, man. Holy shit. It's been like It's been overwhelming almost. It's so many people. It's awesome though. It's so cool to see.
That's cool. Yeah, I was talking to
all those
Heath.
people coming in.
I was talking to Heath a couple months ago, and he was like talking about guys will come in and they're like, "Yeah, man, we're ready to train hard and we're ready to live this lifestyle. We're ready to sleep on the mats." Like a couple days into, we're like, "Hey, man, I gotta get out of here, man. Some family member died, and I'll be back. I'll see you later, whatever." And
They never come back.
yeah, it's different, you know.
Yeah, people under or maybe have a misconception of what it actually is.
What's a
You gotta-
typical day for you guys? Like if you wake up, like what's a typical day of training usually look like?
So we'll have like on like Tuesdays, for example, we'll have wrestling at 12, and it's like a college level wrestling practice. It's like the same intensity, no matter who's in there. So we'll have like a whole hour and a half practice, wrestling practice, and then we'll have like a full gi training at night, and then some people go lift. I don't really lift. I just kind of like try to stretch out and like keep my body ready for the next training. Plan to start adding the lifting back in, or like some kind of working out or like conditioning and stuff. We've just been training and traveling so much, bro. I feel like it's been like weird, kind of.
Mhm.
But yeah, we just train all day basically. We train for like 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours a day.
Get some naps in between.
Yeah, those are always great. Naps and some
What's it
food.
like been like to be traveling now? Like traveling around, do you feel like, I mean, obviously it can be a little disruptive to your training, but like what is it like to go to new gyms and like meet people? What's that been like for you?
It's pretty cool because I didn't get to travel that much as a kid or growing up or anything. Like I didn't get to like see that many places. So now I get to see basically every place. I think we've been on the road every weekend for the last 10 weeks,
Yeah.
basically. 10.
You guys
It's like
you
10
guys got like a
12
big
weeks.
bus or something?
No, sometimes we travel like individually, and sometimes it's not as big as a group, or it's not big as a group, so it's a little bit different. And then sometimes we're like 5, but yeah, I think like 10, 12 weeks, man, we've been on the road straight.
Mm.
It's pretty
What's
cool.
you know, like I've heard you before, like on different kind of videos, talk about your coach. Can you describe like what has been like to be what kind of makes him special or unique, and what's it like having him as a coach?
I just think that he thinks so far ahead of everyone that he's got like these things in place that just like a way you would normally think you couldn't think. He just thinks different, man. He just thinks different. He's way ahead of everybody. I feel like he's like so knowledgeable that you can ask him anything and he can help you with it. He's great. He's kind of like, they talk about like great coaches being able to manage egos. Like he's kind of like the Phil Jackson of Jiu-Jitsu. How Phil was able to manage like Scotty, Jordan, you know, Dennis, Rodman, all those different egos, and like how he's able to mesh them together for one thing. It's kind of like how Heath is. He's like the Phil Jackson of Jiu-Jitsu.
Is there anything he does like specifically, like you can like explain? Like, is there something that he does or any thought process that he has that you feel like is like kind of what you're referring to?
Just how he kind of lets us all be ourselves and individuals, and he doesn't like try to micromanage us too much. He like lets us be our own people still, like while being our coach. And then with the jiu-jitsu, he has an ability to tailor any technique to any individual. Like he can basically make it work for anyone. Just the same way that he does with life, essentially. He just makes it work for everyone.
Now, how is Heath in the mat room? Because I've seen him around and like known of him, gosh, for it's been a long time. You know, you just kind of see people around at competitions and everything else. I mean, long before there was the documentaries and the flow stuff on there, where he had some guys, like I remember when Andrew was like a blue belt, watching him at competitions just like run through people. You're like, who is this dude? You know, and with Heath, he's always had like at competitions, he always kind of has like a really calm, commanding presence. But it's like calm. Like you'll see different coaches, and there's some guys that are like screaming and going crazy, and then there's like other guys that are a little bit more chill. And he's definitely more on the more calm thing. He's commanding, of course, but still calm. How's he in the mat room when he's training with you guys? Is he out there like still maintaining that sort of demeanor? Does he turn it in a little bit more intense, or what?
It's super relaxed in the training room. It's just like he's just Heath, man. He's just like super relaxed, always cracking jokes, like keeping it loose and fun. That way we're all, because he knows how hard the training is. He's the one running it. He like understands what it is. So he's just like always trying to make sure we're working hard and like keeping the room loose, keeping like a good energy going, and keeping all the morales up.
Is there, like, you talk about morale a little bit, is there like some days you come in, you're like, this is going to be a tough day, or it's going to be a tough training session? Is there any days you come in, you kind of don't feel as like up for it? Is there anything you do to kind of get yourself kind of more amped up to train, or do you feel like you're pretty much, you're so used to it now, it's just something you do?
Yeah, some days but I think everybody has those days. It's like it goes back to like thinking with logic instead of thinking with emotion. Just because you don't feel like trying doesn't mean you can't try. It just means you don't feel like it. So you can make a choice, and you can not try, and you can like kind of give in, or you can like start to build some like mental fortitude and like callous your psyche, I guess.
Yeah.
Now you're known as a leg locker, so not everybody takes to the leg locks. What made you? I don't know if you decided, like, you're like, I'm going to be a leg locker, and you started playing with them, or if it was something where it just started working for you. So you just kept doing the same stuff because you're like, it's working. So I'm just going to kind of do it like some long guy with long legs walks in. And it's like, they're going to be good at triangles just because it's going to be a move that feels good for them. What made you to sort of take to using legs as like one of your primary weapons?
It was one of the first things I learned, aside from like the triangle, armbar, heel hook. I actually started learning because those two brothers I was telling you about, when we did a in-house tournament every Friday, and they would tap me out or during training all week, and then at the tournament with like leg locks. They tapped me out for like 6 months in a row with them, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. So then I was like, I'm going to learn how to do these. I'm going to learn how to do them, and I'm going to tap them out with them. That's what I was thinking in my mind, because they would beat me up so bad with them. And then I was just like, when I actually started trying to learn them, I just kind of had like a knack for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it was just like kind of a feel thing, like you were saying. And then I just started studying them really in depth, and I sucked at them for a really long time. And I was just still trying to get better at them now, because dudes, man, people are getting so good at heel slipping and like hiding their heel. It's starting to become like really difficult to leg lock people.
Yeah. Do you see like so leg locks kind of, it's funny though, like when you started leg lock, that's one of the first things you learned, when you started, probably didn't learn a ton of leg locks, straight ankles and stuff.
We learned straight ankle knee bars.
I didn't learn a lot. So for me, I'm like still trying to develop that part of the game. I'm trying to catch up, do you see what do you see jiu-jitsu kind of, like you said, Heath's a forward thinker as well. Are y'all training for anything specific, or do you see like jiu-jitsu going in a certain direction, like skill wise or technique wise?
I just see it to continue to like climb and climb and climb, and just keep getting better and better. Because like the champions of today are 100 times, like, they're just different, man. The sports are going so fast. Like purple belt champions of today would beat black belt champions of 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's not anything personal. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
There's like, these guys are the gap between. I don't think belt color matters much anymore. But at the highest levels of each belt, the gap between purple, brown, and black isn't as big as people make it.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously some differences and like stuff like that, but the gap isn't as big as people think.
No, I'll agree with that, especially when you get into like you said, some of the, like you could take some of the, like if you took the Nogi Worlds, if you took the top, say the top 2 or 3 from each open division, and then put them all together into a bracket, I mean, it'd be interesting because I mean, like for instance, like all those damn blue belts were like wrestlers, like friggin' good wrestlers, right? And so like I mean, and that's tough to deal with. I mean, they're new to jiu-jitsu, but they're experienced grapplers, you know. And like you said, like the purple belts and then the brown belts. I mean, you can go to any gym if they've got some good competitive purple belts. They're as tough as, you know, any average black belt that you'll run into any day of the week, if not more than that, depending on how sharp they are.
Yeah, I just don't get why people think there is such a huge gap. Like, there's this guy named from AOJ named John House. He's a purple belt, and then in like 2018, got black belt like 2019, and submitted Jamil Taylor in under a minute at the Spider Invitational. It's like, what? And Jamil Taylor just won, I think, a major at black belt, either the Pans or the Worlds, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Jamil's good.
Jamil's amazing. So it's like, it's not even a knock on Jamil. It's just that Donatus and like all these different people are that good coming up through the ranks.
Well, and I think the difference is like average versus like high level competitor. Those are two different things. Like your average blue belt, there's a big distinction between you put them against an average black belt and average blue belt, it's going to be different. But when you're taking like these high level competitors who are training hard, where, you know, they're just so dialed in, especially when you're talking about a competition is not necessarily about your overall knowledge. It's not a bad thing to have it, but really it's about how well can I use this little sliver of jiu-jitsu against your sliver of jiu-jitsu? Because again, I guarantee you, if we just did like, hey, Jacob, show us everything you know, you could probably just go down for hours showing us all kinds of jiu-jitsu that you never use in your competition matches, because in your competition, you got your game plan. You're going in there, I'm going to use this to beat these guys. And so when you take a competitor, they're showing a small amount of their jiu-jitsu game. This is why a lot of times you'll meet blue belts and purple belts who have like black belt level techniques. Now, there's other areas of their game that might be underdeveloped, but man, they've got a little sliver of jiu-jitsu that's as sharp as a black belt's. And if they can use it on you, I mean, they're going to get you. I mean, I remember like Chad, when he was a young 16-year-old kid, a purple belt, submitting black belts because he had such a good guard game. It's like, if he got you in his guard, it was probably going to be bad for you, you know, even if you were a black belt, but sometimes they would be able to take him out of different positions and things like that. So I think, competing versus, you know, overall knowledge is a completely different thing. And so it's a different animal.
Yeah. Competing is a skill in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Competing is a skill in its own, aside from the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to do that as well.
Jacob, man, I wanted to ask you, like, if you have, or how would you tell people, like maybe from your example, like if you deal with like a loss, like maybe you don't get the outcome you want, what do you do? Like, what's your outlook? What do you do to kind of recover from a loss and just kind of get back at it? Like, is there something that you like to go through? Do you analyze your matches? Is there something specific you do to pick yourself back up and kind of, you know, get that intensity back?
There's nothing you can do about the match now. You already lost it. Move on. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It sucks. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel good when I tell myself that. It's not to make myself feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to help myself move on. It's not like I'm voiding the information. I still know that I lost that match.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing I can do about it now. I lost it already. So there's no reason to sulk about it.
Well, do you do anything like, as far as like, do you watch it back and like see where you guys can, like, do you watch any like matches? Do you all like to like game plan, strategize in that way? You just kind of have a certain game plan that you have. You just kind of take it to any match you go.
Yeah, I like to watch film all the time, but I just like when I watch film, I don't like try to think of like new jiu-jitsu for them. I just think about how I can use my jiu-jitsu against what I see.
Mm.
So I'm not like always trying to morph my game. It's like I'm trying to morph them to my game, basically.
Right. Try to kind of take them where you want them, right? Like where you're the strongest.
Yeah, yeah, like feed
Yep.
them into my spots.
And I think you did that like when you and Roberto Jimenez went, like you attacked. I think you surprised him a lot when I was watching that match. Like off the go, you just like you went after it and he was just starting to defend. I think he didn't anticipate. I think you were just so aggressive off the top. He couldn't, keep up.
Yeah, I think maybe I surprised him and a lot of people with the way I came out against him. He was supposed to win the fucking tournament. He was the favorite, and I was like the least favorite. It was basically like the 1 and the 16th seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's set up for him. The dark horse.
You ruined it.
Yeah. Man.
That's good. Well, everybody knows, man, the cat's out of the bag. We kind of know. Like, are you number 1 ranked brown belt in your weight now?
I'm number 3 actually for that BJJ.
Number 3.
I think I'm number 9 on the 185 list for full grappling now. So
that's like
cool.
the world, like the number 9 in the world.
Yeah,
What's that like? What's that feel like?
It's pretty surreal. Yeah, I was 25, ranked 5th in the gi, and then I was ranked like 4th in my weight class for all the purple belts, and then now being ranked top 10 in the world at 185 pounds for like just the no-gi ranking. So it's like everyone is pretty surreal.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome, brother. Man, so you got ADCC trials coming up, and then you got maybe, do you know like you got anything else in between then, or is that kind of the main thing your eyes are on?
Well, the trials are in like a week.
Yeah.
And then between the gi worlds is in, and obviously whenever there's another Who's Number One event, I want to be on that. Those are always great. So, I'm just gonna keep competing as much as I can do. Keep getting good working against the best guys.
Well, you're doing awesome, brother. Man, I appreciate you. Honestly, man, thanks for taking the time. And we've enjoyed. I've always loved watching you compete, man. It's always fun. You feel like you're kind of like a hometown guy. We always root for you as well. So
the Kentucky guy.
Yeah.
If anybody, if for some reason, someone doesn't know you because they don't watch competitions or whatever, but if they'd like to follow you or see what you're up to, where is the easiest place for them to do that?
Instagram at the Hillbilly Hammer. That's it's pretty much the only social media I got aside from like Facebook and stuff. Check out.
Bro, it's good having you on, man. Good luck at the trials and everything coming up, man. Hopefully that number 9 spot that you're sitting at currently just continues to get smaller and works its way closer and closer to number 1, bro.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man. Thank you guys so much.
You're killing it, dude. We're proud of you.
Appreciate you being on.
Keep doing it, man. We'll see you
later, Jacob.
Right, see you guys. Peace.
Hey, bro.
All right, guys. So hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hopefully there was maybe something you took away for it, or hopefully you were entertained, or maybe if you didn't know who Jacob was, maybe you want to know more about him later on as he gets ready to compete in competitions coming up. I'm hoping he does well because he's a cool dude, and it's been fun to see him just in the last few years kind of step it up to another level.
Yeah,
because I watched one of his matches with a guy named Jared Dopp, who's a big tough dude, and he did really well in that match and beat him, and that was one of the first times where I was like, oh.
Took a notice, huh?
Maybe. Well, I always took a notice because he's always really good.
Yeah.
But that was on like a different level because he'd go to like local competitions, around here, and he would just murk guys. But then he went to that one, and I was like, Jared Dobbs, he's a good dude. And I don't know, where he was at that point or whatever. But he's a tough competitor. He's got some accolades to him, and Jacob looked really good, and there's a bit of a size difference there, so he looked good. And so it's been fun to see him continue to improve. Guys, as always, thanks to our sponsors, Charlotte's Web, charlottesweb.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu. Save 15% on the order on whatever you buy. Again, I encourage you to try it out. If you've never tried CBD before, just try it out for a month and see what it does for you. We all metabolize things differently, from medicines to caffeine to anything. And as we do with, cannabinoids like CBD, our body's endocannabinoid system is different. But that said, if you're like me, you'll be happy that you tried it. So I encourage you to give it a whirl, 1 month. And again, grab a tincture, grab some gummies, whatever it is that you want to try. And you can use a promo code Jiu-Jitsu to save 15% on it. Thanks to Epic Roll. Matt at Epic Roll has been a sponsor for ours for a while. We'll have the Jiu-Jitsu rash guards and shorts coming up soon. But until then, if you want to check out some of his other Jiu-Jitsu gear and apparel, you can do that by going to epicrollbjj.com and use a promo code Jiu-Jitsu to save 15% on the order. Thanks to Manscaped, the premier men's grooming products. Because I don't want to say, because I use they say, a lot of the stuff is below the belt, but I use their stuff for pretty much anything.
You're using it off-label, Chewy.
I'm using it off-label. I'm off-labeling their men's grooming products. So I'm just going to call them the premier men's grooming products. And if you want to check out any of their stuff, either for yourself or for the special man in your life, you can go to manscaped.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu20. Save 20% on the order, and you get free shipping. It's a sweet deal. Also, if you want to support the podcast, you can go to the Patreon, which is patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, where we have a accumulation of several years of content. Every guest that you've heard has a special podcast in there. We have some off-the-wall stuff sometimes, that like these conversations that Eugene and I will get into that are on there. You also have some rolling videos, narrated rolls, things like that. So additional content that's not necessarily podcast specific, but that's all in there. And again, it's available for an inexpensive price. It helps support the podcast, and you get a lot of content for your money, and it's a ongoing monthly thing, but you can cancel anytime you want to. So you can check it out at patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast. And if you would like to join my email newsletter, the Chew Crew email list, you can do so by going to jiu-jitsu.net/join, JOIN. And along with becoming a subscriber, you will also get 2 free ebooks sent to you. One is a Jiu-Jitsu game plan, where I will show you my game plan in Jiu-Jitsu, and we'll show you how to make yours, just as sort of a thought exercise, so that you understand your Jiu-Jitsu game better, whether you're rolling or competing. It doesn't matter whether it's in the gym or in a competition. And then there's also a drilling strategy ebook, where I'll line out numerous different strategies that you can use, whether you're a Jiu-Jitsu coach or if you're just a competitor or a practitioner who has no control of their training. So again, so you have some options with both of those. And also, Eugene, I got a joke for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Why are there Pop-Tarts and not Mom Tarts? Because of the patriarchy.
Wah, wah, wah.
That's a good one.
That's not bad.
That's a good joke. That was a sweet joke. Get it? Sweet.
You're on a roll.
Pop-Tarts.
You're on a roll. It's pretty good. Pretty good dad joke.
No.
Man joke. I don't know.
Call it a dad joke. It is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Because dads make terrible jokes.
Yeah, you don't have to be. I remember one of my buddy's dads, we were driving one time like down the road, and like this is like classic dad joke. We were driving, and I remember like he was like, me and my buddy were in there, and he was like, "You boys see that cemetery over there?" And we're looking, there's a cemetery on the side of the road. We're like, "Yeah, what about it?" He goes, It's a crazy place. People are dying to get in there. I mean, that's a classic dad joke. That's such a good one. I hope that one of you guys listening to this use this with like some kid that's around you. It's just one of those things.
It's pretty bad sometimes.
So dad,
and jokes, then you like to slip them in there, like you'll be in like normal. Hey, you remember about this tree? Remember you did the tree joke or whatever.
Yeah. See that's where you can really get the dad joke to work, is if you can anchor the dad joke to something else, so it gets their mind thinking about something that's real, so that this way they get them thinking, oh yeah, we're really talking about something important, and then you slip it back to the dad joke. We
just don't trust anything you say now. We just don't listen.
I've broken the trust.
You have.
I've broken the trust.
Yeah, like I'm always like inquisitive. I'm like, there's a face. If you guys know, there's a face Chewy makes when he's trying to like.
I'm a terrible liar. Yeah,
he makes this joke, and I'm like, what's the face he's making?
Kevin does this. Kevin's one of my students. Kevin does the same thing. Kevin will go in there. He'll be like, Chewy. I'm like, and he'll talk to me. And we do this to each other. We'll both have to reference like, oh, no. I'm I'm being serious right now. Or like we'll say, hey, so there was this thing, and then like, we know that we're joking. And then but sometimes we'll be saying something and we'll be looking at one another suspiciously, and then the other one will say, no, I'm actually being serious right now. I'm gonna talk about this. Oh, okay, cool. I'm listening.
Yeah, it'd be terrible if you said something serious and they laughed at you and thought it was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been horrible.
That sounds like something I might do.
Yeah, like somebody tells you something like really like meaningful, and you're like, oh, you're just making that up, right? And then you laugh at them.
Well, I've had like a few times in my life where I've laughed at inappropriate times.
I have as well.
And you know, like definitely like foot in my mouth kind of moments. Like
we all have that. Sometimes it's from like nervousness, and sometimes it's just like, is this a joke?
Well, see, I have this thing anywhere where I'll get into laughing fits at random times.
Yes, you do.
Where
it's funny. It's contagious as well.
Well, yeah, because laughter is contagious, right? So like I'll find something humorous, and it's not something that's humorous to anyone else but me, but I'll start laughing. And I mean, it can go on for a couple laughs, or it could literally, the laugh will go on for minutes. I'll just be continuing laughing. And then when I start laughing, then everybody else starts laughing. I remember we have this, I remember we were down in Costa Rica one year where Big Ethan, he was down there with us, and I had him in tears. I was laughing about something, and my laugh, when I do a laughing fit, it just turns into this most ridiculous laugh. It's not a traditional laugh. It's very
cackle.
Yeah, it's like, you know, whatever. And Ethan was crying. He was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so it's good.
It's good because you're a fairly big guy, you know. Watching you kind of cackle like a little child is funny.
I'm a big kid, man. I like to have fun.
You are.
I think that's, you know, I think that's one of the reasons why people have so much trouble with jiu-jitsu, is because they look at it as like the hustle and the grind. You know, I never looked at it that way. I'm just playing. Even like with like work, a lot of what we do, it's all play. I'm just playing around.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun. I'm just trying stuff. You know, like I don't look at it as like this work. You know, I'm grinding. Like, am I grinding? Like, I enjoy what I'm doing. Like, even with even jiu-jitsu, I never once went in there like back in the day was like, yeah, I'm grinding. Like, I'm like, I know that it's a grind, but I have fun with the grind. It's fun. It's like a game. It's like, for instance, you'll hear like I've seen people. I don't really play video games a lot, but I have friends that play video games, right? And I know how it works because I've played them. And a lot of times there's this grind associated with like certain games where you have to like level up your characters. But when you're grinding in those characters, you're not working. You're still playing a game.
Yeah.
You know, and in jiu-jitsu, it's a big game. It's what we're doing.
It's perspective, though.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing I've always remembered, like it's not I have to do this, I get to do this. Whatever your task is. Maybe it's something you don't enjoy doing, but like, man, imagine somebody that couldn't do like something simple. Like, for example, doing the dishes or something, right? Like, man, I'm able to, I get to do this. I'm capable of doing it versus somebody that's like maybe injured or can't even do simple daily tasks. So I think like just we do take things for granted. I think it's just, we sometimes accept things. It's just like, it's just the way it is. And like, this is just something where, you know, we do, and we don't sometimes maybe even appreciate like jiu-jitsu, you know, that perspective. I think it's what you want to get out of it too. Like as far as jiu-jitsu goes, like you get to do it. You don't have to do it, you know, you get to. And I think that if you feel like it's something you have to do, you won't enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and like, yeah. And when you change it to work, I gotta go work hard, or you can just go play. Like, I mean, because it's a game. It's a like when we do jiu-jitsu, it's a game. There's rules. There's a winner and a loser. It's a game.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, no one says I'm gonna go work hard and do a pickup game of basketball. I'm gonna go play a game of basketball. It's a game. That's what you're doing. It's a game. And if you change it the way, it's a lot more fun because you're not thinking about I'm working hard. Like, well, you might be, because that just
putting
happens.
in a strong effort.
Yeah, you're putting in a strong effort, and you can go work hard, but you can think of it as play. Even like lifting weights. Like, I enjoy lifting weights. I've never thought of it as work. I'm working hard, but like I just enjoy moving my body around. It's fun for me. And I think that if you look at those things and like look at them as like fun time, play time, because it's what it really is. It doesn't seem so nasty. As far as the grateful thing, you know, absolutely. Like, I think about this all the time because this is just how I think. Like, I remember seeing my mom in the cancer ward and seeing cancer patients around there, and you're like, oh, like I'm healthy. Like, whatever I'm whining about, I'm fine. And even the fact that when you really think about it, like eventually, like this is stuff I think about. Like, we take everything for granted, even people for granted. Like, one day, the person that's next to you in bed that you wake up to is not going to be there. Whether you're going to be gone or they're going to be gone, right? Some point that's going to happen. right? And we can just take stuff for granted. We can be around the person. We can just completely overlook them and not just like think about that. But the minute you think about that, you immediately want to grab a hug and kiss them and just be next to them and whatever else. Kids, right? You know, we can take everything for granted. So, you know, anytime you get to boo-hoo about your life or whatever, especially, I mean, if you live like, there's some people that have it bad, but most people in America and other first world countries got it pretty good. There's tough stuff that we got to deal with, but it's all relative, right? Yeah. But like you've got opportunities in front of you if you want them.
Yeah.
And so like, if you get boo-hoo about yourself, like take a step back and think about all the stuff you could be grateful for, from your health, from the opportunities that you have, for the people that are around you. There's so many beautiful things around you if you just stop and look at them. And like, if you can do jiu-jitsu, whatever kind of bad day you're having, it's not a bad day, it's a good day, because you're training. You're healthy enough to train. You have the opportunity to do. You're not in a war-torn country where you have to, like, you know, where you physically cannot train, right? Like, that's a good thing for you. So just some random thoughts at the end of the podcast. As always, just rattled off some stuff.
Yeah.
Some tangible tangents.
Tangible tangents. There it is. All right.